Hello and welcome to this video brought to you by the Lowest Art. My name is Emmanuel Okafo. I hope you guys are doing well and had a wonderful weekend. In this video, I will be showing you how to generate hair particles from curves. In my previous video from last week, we kind of covered using a free add-on called Hairnet, basically generate coily hairstyle from curves. But I'm going to be showing you how you can draw out hairstyle and have a very nice looking groom. I have a model that I'll be using for this tutorial. It's originally gotten from ZBrush. I just decimated it and brought it into Blender that we'll be using to create the hair. The reason I chose this mesh is because it has like a rough representation of a hair shape which we could trace on. So that brings me to the point of you need to have sculpted or modeled like a hair shape, geometry hair shape that you can trace on to be able to generate the hair particles. So another important thing is you have to go to the link in case you don't have the add-on called Hairnet. You want to go to the link and download the add-on so that you can participate with me in this tutorial. So once you have that all set up and you've installed the add-on, you should see it looking like this. And that's basically all you need to get ready for. And of course you need the latest version of Blender with geometry nodes because we're using like a nice tool from there to convert the curves later. Okay, so we want to go to add curve, Bezier curve. So this is what you should get. And now selecting your curve, you want to go into edit mode. So we want to select all the curves by hitting A and delete it with X. Now we want to click on this draw tool. So this is what you want to go for. Let's see if I can expand this. So this one with handles. What this allows you to do is it allows you to basically draw out your curves. We just need to play with some of the settings and we can find them here. So in this active tool, we want to switch it from cursor to surface, basically enabling us to draw on the surface of the geometry. You could play with the offset. I've not really played with it before, but I'm just trying it, but it's fine. So we can just leave this as default. Something you could play with is the tolerance if you want more points to be created as you draw so that it can actually conform to the shape perfectly. You can play with the tolerance. So the lower value you go, the higher points it's going to add. So 0.4 is fine. It doesn't really matter. We just want it to kind of get the shape. Finally, we want to add a shrink wrap modifier. This is not really important. This is just to help make sure that we feel comfortable when working with it. I'll show you what we can do with this. So I will select this as a target and click on this edit mode toggle, and now I can just draw. I'll set this to tangent normal and set this above surface, and I can just move it out, just draw, and it snaps onto the surface. But you can see if we go to this point, since we start getting clutter very quickly, because of these points are quite always see-through, so you could select everything and H to hide it, and it hides it. And because of the shrink wrap, you can see the lines still visible, so it just makes it easy to work. So when you want to hide things, you can just hit H to hide. So yeah, so that's the basic setup. All you just need to do now is just go in and just trace out your hair. So you just something like this. So you want to try and make sure it's as smooth as possible, depending on the hairstyle which you're going for. So I want something to come something like this. They all grow till they come around this direction. You can first start with just laying down some landmarks, and also if you right click, you can also select points and just extrude them by hitting E the normal way. Extrude just to get those nice points. For some reason I'm not getting enough point. Let me try increasing this. But that's not going to work. So 0.1. Yeah, more like it. Okay, so let's just keep drawing. So we have more points, the smaller the values are. So basically that's what you want to do. So I'm going to pause the video and come back, and hopefully I should be done with everything. But one more thing before I go is, you can see that I'm kind of going in a direction. So if you can have like a direction that you will always keep, where you be starting and pulling out the curves from, you should stick to that one direction so that it will be easy later when you want to select different points. So let's say I want to select the first curve, so we can see this all will be the first curve. So if I'm starting like this and I go back and say select the first curve, it's always selecting the first one I draw. So depending on the directions you're painting, drawing, so you just always want to bear that in mind. And I'm just gonna pause the video and come back once I'm done. Okay, so I'm done kind of painting in the hair. This might look intimidating, but it actually is not. So I'll just do a quick breakdown of it. So we have this, and you can see I carefully placed it. With the shrink wrap, it allows me to go in and select this by hitting L to copy it, select the island, and I can duplicate it and move it, and it just conforms to the shape. Something you want to bear in mind is always try to make it as evenly distributed as much as possible. Depending on the type of hair which you're going for, and by that I mean, are you going for long hair, are you going for medium hair, are you going for like stubbles, are you going for small hair? You need to be conscious about that, especially when you're drawing it, because if you are going for long hair and use medium hair for that, it probably will not get you the result which you want right off the back. You might have to go into the particle settings and all the particle grooming and fix things. But if you just want to get it right off the back, you have to be conscious about stuff like this. Okay, so I decided to kind of break it down into several different curve system, so that I can have better control over the whole settings and just the whole hair system. So I have this, I have the medium hair, and then I have the small hair. The way I was able to quickly generate this is, after I had my landmarks, I could just quickly draw out some patches and copy those and just duplicate them, and they just match because of I'm using the shrink wrap. Okay, so that's that, and now we can go into the second to the last stage, which is resampling all the sculpt nodes. So the way the hairness add-on works is it deals with it requires so many evenly distributed geometry, and if without that it cannot work, especially when you're using curves. It needs all the individual points to be the same, and with the way we drew them out, they were definitely not the same. But thanks to geometry node, because I don't think this was possible in Blender before, thanks to geometry node, we are able to do that now. So I'm going to set this to 0 and then apply it. Blender allows you to apply your curve modifier now, so I'm going to do that for everything. And the reason I'm setting it back to 0 is so that it has the initial shape of the hair asset. I don't want it to be different in any way, maybe this slightly, but I'll just set this to 0. So I want it to be the initial shape of the hair. Once I'm done, I can hit apply. I don't think this supports apply, but we'll figure that out later. So I'm going to do the same thing for the final one. Make sure it's set to the main hair shape, and I can hit apply. Or I could just convert this to mesh and convert it back to curve. Okay, I think I should do the same thing for the previous one, so that we don't lose any information or details. Okay, just to check how it will look without the hair shape, so we can see this how it's looking. We might have to kind of fill in these gaps, so we could do that easily. So now we know that that problem could come up. Okay, so we're kind of in the I had the call which I had to answer for my dad. Anyway, so we can just quickly fix this spot that will probably be a problem later. like adding more points here. So for that, the way we do that is let's just draw them out actually. So I will go back into the curve mode, select everything and hide it. Just grab the draw tool and just draw in that position. So we'll probably still need the shrink wrap just to be able to preview everything. Set above surface, tangent normal. Okay, so we just want to kind of fill it out. So that we don't have any unnecessary space there. So it's also important you select everything once in a while and hit V and set it automatic, because automatic curve produces more smoother curve. But yeah, so that's basically the fix for having like extra space, which is not which you can easily just paint in later, or you could just leave space for it. But anyways, let's move forward. For the next step, it's basically resampling the curve, like I said. So you just select your curve, click on add new geometry node. If you don't have this interface, you just need to click here, general geometry node. So once you have that, you can select draw curve with shift A. You could go here, add curve, resample node. So what this resample node does is it basically makes all the individual curve have the same amounts of points. So the more points you want, you can just increase the counts, the less you reduce it. Basically, if you want to keep more details, you can, but you also always want to have like a balance of detail and optimization. Okay, so we can set this to 15. I think 15 is good. And once we're done, we can just click on object, convert mesh. So repeat the same thing for this. So we'll just add the resample curve. Let's see. Okay, so 11 is good. Mesh from curve, and finally we'll do same thing. I think we could probably just grab this. Okay, mesh from curve. Okay, so now once you have that, all you just need to go is to go to the hairnet add-on and apply the rotation and scale for everything, and just set this to emit hair from self fiber mesh. And that's all. We have our hair system. Now we can go to the viewport in the particle settings, set this viewport number to something high, to where you can have like a smooth looking curve. And you want to go to the children, you want to set this to 50 if you can, your PC can handle that. I would set this to 30 to be more responsive, and you just play with the radius till the shape aligns. So if you want more, you can add more. And now you can go in and start styling your hair. So for the root and the tip, what you can do is to fix them inside the particle edit mode. I will right click here and do show two settings, and I will increase the number of part steps to like 6, so I'll have like smoother. And then I will grab the comb brush and gently just insert this into the skull, to the hair, so it fits perfectly. Okay, now we can just add different styling. So if you want more details, you can increase the strand steps. Let's say we get like some coiliness going on there, but not too much that it looks so obvious. So I'm going to set the aptitude to 0.02. Increase the frequency slightly. Have to reduce this some more. Okay, yes, it adds some wave stuff. If it's not looking good, you can try other hairstyle like braided. Okay, can play with the flatness. I don't want it to be so obvious, so I'm going to set 0.0. Let's see. So coily. Okay. So we'll just start. We'll leave this as a starting point for now. Let's add the rest, and then we can just keep styling it. So same thing, emit from self, fiber mesh. We could try copying the settings, but you can actually copy settings. So let's say we want that the settings we already have working, so we can just emit from self, select that setting and fiber mesh. So it's going to copy the setting of this object that we're already happy with, and we'll repeat the same thing, fiber mesh. I think because the previous hair was kind of a lot. So I'm going to reduce this to like 10. Grab this and reduce this to 10. And now what you can just have fun, kind of style it till you have it looking as you want. If you go here and switch to Eevee, set this to strip, you can actually see how the shape will look at render time. We'll switch back to cycles, and let's just play with the shapes. So you want to go to hair shape and set 0.1, 0.1. So I'm going to set this to nothing because I don't want it to have any kink. Raise it to like 30. At this point we can start doing like some test renders just to see how everything is looking for now before we keep moving. So before we continue, just like some pitfalls which you need to know about using this technique. The most obvious one is this doesn't work. This kind of hair is not deformable. So you shouldn't use this for if you plan on having your eyebrow animated, or like an eyelash, or like a beard, or like four. I mean, it would be quite convenient if you could just groom. It doesn't support interpolated children. So this is just perfect for when you're trying to create a character hair that you just need it to be stylized in a certain way. Another thing you might run into is the orders of the particle. So something I advise is like when you're setting the diameter, root and tip, you want to make them have relatively the same value. So 0.05 should be a nice number that all of them can use. Okay. You can always change the diameter scale so that everything just scales down with it. So we'll do the same thing for every other thing. So 0.04. So you just want to have this looking right before we move on to the shading. Okay, so let's try rendering. Just do some render settings. I'll increase the sample to 300. Okay, so this was the result. I just basically increased the sample and turn off the noise so it doesn't interfere with the shape, because I just want to preview everything now. Okay, so I'll set the radius for this to 0.2. So all I'm doing now is just basically trying to get it to look great in a render. So from rendering, I know that this needs to extend downward slightly, so I'm going to do that. Just going to go in and grab the move brush, but I want to click on deflect emitter, so I will just move this down slightly so it kind of fill in those space. So basically I uncheck the lens and keep the root, so we can just keep pulling the lens down. So you can adjust things as you need them. Okay, play with the clumping, kind of tighter there. Okay, then I'll use this curve and just make it so it comes closer at the tip but still have some volume. We can play with the styling, and let's try using a coily hairstyle. Set this to 0.03, increase the frequency to like 15. You can add some more variation using the twist, just to twist things, just to break it up. That's what I'm trying to do, so it looks really nice. And now we can try rendering again. So I mean, there's no easy way to like go about this. It's just basically you're going back and forth and kind of tweaking this till you have it looking like you want. For this part, I want to reduce the length. I don't know. Okay, it's a support set. So we kind of reduce the length so it looks shorter, because I want this place to be like a fade. If I increase this to 50, let me see how it would look. Okay. I mean, we could go in the particle mode and actually reduce the length, but it's fine. Let's see what we can add. Some roughness. So I will add endpoint of 0.03. This basically breaks up the shape and makes it like more rough. Stuff you expect by with like more shorter hair. Then for this I will add like some free hair, some fly hair that are just trying to escape from the nicely organized hair. So I'm going to set this roughness to 0.5 and the threshold to 0.8. So you can see we have some fray hair. You can play with the detail level if you want it to be more noisy or less noisy. Something like this. Okay. At this point, I will just go ahead and add a hair shader material. So I'll use the principled BSCF and set this to Melanie concentration. I'll add a slight random color, play with the roughness slightly, and let's try rendering now. Okay, so we are getting there. It's beginning to look nice. We probably don't need that. We don't need to reduce the length of the hair, so set this back to 1. Okay, so we're getting there. Let's see other view and see how it's looking. So I mean, at this point you kind of get the gist of how it works. So you can go about your day. Basically what I'm doing now is trying to make it look good. So if you want to stay for that till we get a very nice realistic looking hair, you can, but at this point you are free to head out. Okay, so it's looking good. One thing I want to do is make this side hair less obvious, so it's more like a fade, because currently it doesn't look like a fade. One thing I can do is just grab the particle brush and just pull this closer. So it's less obvious. And then I will grab this and pull them outwards like this. So like I said, I'm only able to do this because I have this unchecked. The length allows me to just adjust everything. And create really nice shapes using this technique. Somewhat like a mohawk. Okay, so we're getting there. What we need now is more children hair, basically. So to do that, we'll add more children hair for it. So you could fix this by either increasing the size of the hair strands, or you could use children hair to do it. Okay, so for the render setting, you want to make sure it matches the same strength steps like the viewport, so that you're getting the same result. One thing I want to do now is just break this up, break the hair, because it looks so smooth. So to break it, finger crossed, I'll try to use the Blender King type. Just to break it off a bit. Okay, then can try the uniform, which is not really working here. We need more settings. Okay, what we can do now is just use particles to make it less even, because this looks quite evenly distributed. So we want to just have some part behaving that way. So we can click on add new particle here, texture, and then we'll switch this to cloud. So it seems nothing is happening. What you want to do is go to the influence and scroll down till you find the kink amplitude and kink frequency. Now you just play with the size. I think you can go to color and play with it too. Just make it very sharp. So everything is not influenced by the same amount of the effect is not the same everywhere, so we kind of have some randomization. You can try distorted noise. Let's try another one. Okay, nice seems to work well. Okay, so we can try giving it another render, and let's see what we get. So perfect. So you can see we're breaking it up. It's not feeling very evenly distributed. So we can check from this angle. I'm going to pause the video and come back once I'm done because this is taking longer than expected. Probably we'll leave it here. I mean, there's not limits to how much you want to push this. You can just keep pushing it till find a result that you're satisfied with. But this is a technique which you could play with and use in your project. So I hope this was helpful and informative. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up, and if you wish to see more from me, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. So bye bye for now. See you next time.